Welcome to the Celtic Craft Studio. I'm Terry, and I'm back. I'm back from spring break. Okay, it wasn't my spring break. It was my grandchildren's spring break. So we took the week to do things with the grandchildren. We went to the zoo in Colorado Springs. I don't know if you've been there, but it's a fantastic zoo. The Cheyenne Mountain Zoo is on a mountain, and it's full of wonderful animals, but especially the giraffes. So we like to go feed the giraffes. So we spent a day doing that, and then my youngest grandchild had a birthday that week, and of course, it was Resurrection Sunday. So we had a busy week, a blessed week, and I hope you had a wonderful week too. But I'm back, and here we are with the document journals. I think today what we will do is I will go ahead and sew this signature in. It's ready. And then I'll show you some of the things I did with some of the pages before I sew this one in. So we will start with this. We will start by sewing the signature in, and like I said, this is going to be easier. You only have one signature. It's not as imperative that you get everything lined up because it is the one signature. I guess I like to make sure it's centered on the cover, but other than that, there's no pressure, which I like. All right, so what I'm going to start out doing is measuring the center here. And get my ruler in there. I should have scooted these over a little, but I can still do that. Because I want that to lay flat. I want it to be close to correct. Okay. Oh, yeah. So it is pretty much 11 1/4. So half, where's my pencil? Excuse my reach. Get my pencil here. All right, so let's see. It's about 5. I'm going to say 5 1/2. We're going to round a little. So 5 1/2 is the middle. And then normally I come 1 inch in, but I did make this paper smaller. So I know I want to come in a little more than 1 inch. So I think I am going to come in about 1/2 inch from the top of that paper. And then 1/2 inch over here, which is about there. So I have my 3 dots. I have my 3 dots where I am going to poke. Make sure you can see them. Don't make them so light that you're wondering where it's at. And then I will poke them. So what have you been doing this last week? Did you spend time with your grandchildren? Like I say, it was busy, but it was a good busy. It was a good busy. All right. Where's my poker? Where's my poker? We will poke holes that we are going to run our string through. Just a little, don't make them huge. That's why I like this poker. It's a small one, not a large one. So that it's not, I started out using the wrong kind of poker in my opinion, and my holes were too big. So I think it's important you have the right tools. Sometimes you can take shortcuts and then sometimes you shouldn't. All right. Now I need to decide on what kind of string, because the string is going to show. So I need to decide what color. I do have a, I don't know that it really goes. I do have this blue. I know I have a pink and I have a lighter blue. I don't know that I want pink either. Oh, the lighter blue might be better. Okay, we're going to use the lighter blue. That has been decided. And move my whole book. That's so my mat doesn't get ruined. See, it's got all kinds of wonderful holes in it. And then what I do is I take my string and I do about three lengths, roughly. I mean, that's not exact, obviously. Cut that and get my needle, which I left up here with the last project's thread in it. All right, let's see if we can thread this on camera. I'm going to go out of shot a minute. Excuse me, I'm going to cough too. Excuse me. It's a little dry in here. Oh my. I have to get my water. That. And I may have to thread off camera. All right, I'm going to pause you a minute. All right, I'm back. I found my water, drank my water. So hopefully I won't be coughing again. And I threaded my needle so you didn't have to watch that agony. All right, so we're going to put the envelope in. Let's make sure everything's going the right direction. I'm going to kind of center that. And then remember, I always put a little bit of reinforcement. So I have a piece of heavy stock, cardstock here that I'm going to put in the middle. So let's open our envelope. This is a Rachel envelope. I believe her husband designed it. It's beautiful. I always put the front, and I won't say always because sometimes I make mistakes, but I always put the envelope facing forward so that if I decorate it with a stamp or something, no, I'm going to have to repunch my hole because this isn't going to, oh, there it goes. There it goes. Just going to take some persuading. Sometimes you have to wiggle to get it through the hole. That's okay. All right, I'm going to pull it through. Not all the way. I'm going to leave a tail, okay? Then I'm going to hold that tail so it doesn't slip. And then I'm going to come up on this side, which is easier to get through. Good. All right. And then, here's the tricky part. Make sure you do not split that thread. Go on the other side of the thread. Once again, this was a little tough, and now we're asking it to take on 2 threads, so I may have to poke the hole again. Miss that thread. And there it comes, there it comes. Here I said this wasn't going to be hard, and it's looking like a challenge, isn't it? pull it, make sure you don't have any knots. Make sure you got your tail and it isn't going anywhere. Pull it tight. All right. And then we're going to come up through the top hole. Which is in the crease, even though it doesn't look like it is over here. Once again, we have to re-poke because sometimes that paper closes up. So let's re-poke real quick. Put him through. All right. Once again, you're going to pull that tight. Check the other side, make sure it's tight. And then bring your string under, pull it tight again. Then I put my thumb there, or not my thumb, my middle finger, just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. And then I bring my thread through to make a knot. And I pull tight. Oh, once again, once you have that first knot, let's make sure that that's tight. That's tight. All right. And I'm going to do 2 other knots. One going one way and then going the other. They call that something, but I am not a knot expert, so I cannot tell you what kind of knot that's called. All right, let's make sure it's under the envelope flap. Put my needle back up here where I don't lose it. All right, and then we have our envelope that we will be gluing shut, but not right now. I'll do that a little later. Right now I'm going to take the clips off and see how we did. Move my clips for the next one, and then we will fold this. And as you can see, I've already started decorating. I don't know that I have finished with this one, but I like the front. I'm thinking maybe a nameplate, but I'm not going to give her a name. I think I might use one of the labels in the kit. And let me show you the kit again so you know what I'm using. I'm using the Medieval Mirage French Rococo Rhapsody, and it is a document journal kit. Like I said, I had never seen document journal kits on her site, so this may be her first and only one, I don't know, but it's a beauty. All right, so that's her front. This is what I've got on the back so far. I was thinking maybe a picture and a frame of some kind. Paper frame. I don't think I'll put more metal on the back. But that's what I'm thinking for that. And then have the metal frame up here with the label. But I'll show you as we progress. What I want to show you next is what I did inside. Of course, we have the beautiful pages, and I mentioned there was kind of a gap at the top and the bottom, but what I did was I used some Tim Holtz, had a beautiful rose, kind of a pinkish colored tape that I used. I thought it went well. I reinforced the spine, which I will show you on the other one how I did that. just so that when I went through it, and if there's a corner, see this corner is kind of coming up, so I'll make sure I glue that a little more. But here's the papers. I used the papers from the kit, the document kit. Then I used tea-dyed papers, and then I used Italian papers that I have. And the first one, I'm going to make a pocket. And we will glue that, and I'll probably put something, lace, some kind of decoration on this pocket. So I'm going to leave that page. Got a little glue action going on here. Straw paper, got some straw paper in there. And then here's another Italian page. Came out of a book that I have. And what I did with this one is I made a swing out. Okay, so this is what I'm going to show you, what I did with these pages. There's another page, if you go farther in the middle, right there, that has another swing out. So that's what I will show you next on this one over here. So let me put this aside. We got several things going on at once. It's just to make life a little quicker and easier, or we might be here for hours. Okay, so this one, I did something a little different with the cover. And I think I can take that off, although I think that still needs to be, yes, that still needs to be glued, so we'll leave it. But that's my front. This was a beautiful, here, let me show you my box of, I do embroidery, so, and I make pouches, so I like having bits and pieces of lace and doilies and stuff. So I have a box that I use for this when I make document journals or journals. I use this for a trim. I used this that was a tool, and then I just trimmed it down and used this on the side. And then I had some little pink applique pieces. You can use vintage. I have some very old pieces in here, and I have fairly new pieces in here. Mix and match, do what you want, use what you have. You know, don't feel like you have to go buying something special. Use the scraps you have. This is a perfect thing to use your scraps on. Because as you will see as we work on the ephemera, we are going to use some bits and pieces and scraps of lace on the ephemera and on the pockets, maybe on the edges. We'll see where we use it. All right, we're going to have to undo that because I got to put the tape on. All right, and I think I decided because of the flowers that I'm not going to use that rose one again, but I will use this. All right, so let's flip this up out of the way. Get my Oohoo, because this tape is not brand new, and as tape gets older, it's not as sticky. And even if it was new, I would do this because you don't want it coming off your journal. All right. So I'm going to put some Oohoo down here. Make sure you got plenty. And then you always want to make sure your tape's going the right way. If there's an up. Okay, so these they go this way. So I want them this way, not upside down. So let's put that there. And I always leave a little bit on the ends. You might think that's wasteful, but it just helps me. Do what you want, do what you want. I'm just giving you suggestions. All right. And then I will trim that and put my lace back on so I can take the top off. Okay, trim it there. Trim it there. Put my lace back on until I glue it. The front is kind of staying on its own because I glued the applique over it. On the back, I think I'll just do the applique. Isn't that pretty? I love that. I love the picture and I love the rose, so I just don't think I want to cover it up. All right, so let's glue this one on this end, and then we will glue down the middle. Well, I'm sticking to everything. It's amazing. You turn on the camera and everything that can go wrong will go wrong. I was fine, didn't have a cough, and then I turn on the camera and all of a sudden I got a cough. It's amazing. But on this channel, we just roll with the punches. Yes, we do. All right. Any of you starting a, let's see, I want it the other way. Once again, I don't want it to be upside down. So I think I want it this way. Are any of you working on a document journal? Now, normally, I don't tape down the spine, but the batch of folders that I bought this last time were not as thick as the original folders. Nothing ever stays the same. I don't get that. So let's trim this. So I decided I would put some tape down the spine just to make sure it holds. Okay. Hope I'm staying in shot while I'm wielding my document journal around. Unfortunately, document journals are a little long, and so they are a little harder to keep in the shot. All right. So let's make sure, yeah, I still got this going the right way. So let's put down the middle. And this doesn't matter down the middle because it won't matter which way you put it. Although I'm sure in my mind there's a right way and a wrong way. Make sure you know where that crease is so you're getting kind of down the middle there. Okay. Sorry for my reach. All right, so this is up. I think I am going this way. And once again, I want to see where that is, so I kind of center it. I think I'm centering it between those two lines. Fortunately, there are two lines there, although that looks a bit off. All right. Knocking things over. Get that off. We're done with the tape, so we're going to get that out of the way. And get this off. Okay. There we have it, our cover. And this is going to be the signature. I will not sew this signature in on camera. I'll do that off camera. I'm getting my tape stuck to everything. So, but what I'm going to show you is how to add those flaps. All right. So let's take this one out. this piece of paper out. I have ephemera for this side, and I have ephemera for this side. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. And I have my page here. And what I decided to do with the other, and you can, this is from her kit. This is her add-on kit with all the ephemera. You can take this out and make a window and put something in there. But I decided, because of the way I'm going to do this, that I would just paste something over it. All right, which I will show you from the other one. All right, so we're going to ink some things. I don't ink a lot because I want to keep these things not as grungy. So I don't ink too much, and I don't necessarily ink all things. All right, this one looks like he might need a little trimming. Sometimes when you fold, you don't necessarily fold correctly and you get a little off, so you got to trim it. All right, so let's just go over, not too heavy, just a little bit. This is going to go on the other side of the flap, which you will see in a moment. And this is going to go inside, because there's a pocket in this cute little piece of ephemera that she created. So let's get the pocket just a little, just to get some of the white off the edge. All right. Now let's glue this down. Jeff's papers and ephemera are so beautiful, so creative. She has some great ideas, some beautiful, beautiful kits. I hope you've gone to check it out, because wonderful stuff. All right, so we are going to glue this onto this flap here. Yeah, make sure I got this all the right way. We don't want to, and I'm going to kind of eyeball where I need to get the glue to. And I'm going to use my Yoo-Hoo. All right, and be careful when you use older paper. This is probably a reg paper is what I'm guessing, because it is a little tougher than most. But if you're using a fragile paper, be very careful that you do not rip it while you're gluing. All right, so let's put this down, line it up with the bottom, put it down. I always make a little bit of the edge show. All right. And then I am going to glue this one on. Now, you will notice that, one, it's going to have to be trimmed, but not much. Not much. Okay, so we'll make sure that goes to the bottom. You will notice that I don't put any lines. I just want the decoration. Now you might want lines so that they can actually open it up, and so you could turn it over, or just put lined paper, or just put straw paper. So you could make it so you could journal on this, but I'm not going to. All right, I'm doing it this way. So I'm going to put a little Yoo-Hoo on this side. Make sure it's covered because we want it to not go anywhere. All right, line that up with your pocket, and I will make the long side go to the bottom so I can trim it off. And it looks like it needs a little trimming on the side too. Okay, I'm going to reline Yeah. Well, you have to be very careful where you trim it, because we do not want to cut that pocket. So, scissors. We'll just trim the top a little. Not much. All right, so, yep, we're going to trim that bottom. See, it's hanging down. So let's trim that off. All right. So you will notice you can still open it. You could journal in here, see? And then I've got this pocket, which I'm going to put a journaling card in. So there is plenty of space. But once again, you can make that journaling or not. All right, so that flap is done. Although I am going to cut that off. Cut the flap off just because that's the way I like it looking. And what I usually do, and that's not very straight, so let's fix it. And then what I usually do is cut the corner off. Like that. Okay? So there we have that. Save that little piece of paper. You can use it for something. And then on this side, we are going to do 2 journal cards. So let's go ahead and ink them. Are they both the same? I think I made them. Oh, no, I didn't. All right, so I want this on the inside. This is going on the outside. Glad I looked. I thought they were the same. I think I want this on the inside. All right, so it's inked. Now I'm going to glue. Once again, kind of watching where I'm going here. All right, we're going to put this one down. I like these flip outs. It's just something different, you know. It's not the same old, same old. To me, anytime you can add a little surprise inside your journal is a good thing. All right, so then we are going to line this guy up. And I want to line him to that side so that if there's a little bit showing, it's the page that's showing. But you could use anything for a flip out. You can make it flip out as far as you want it to flip out. I'm sure we'll do something like that eventually. But keep in mind, the more stuff you put in your journal, the bulkier it gets. So you have to be a little careful. All right, we're going to trim that. I see that it needs to be trimmed, but we'll scoot it over so it looks straight. And then I will trim that. And you don't have to worry about pockets, so and go clear to the bottom. Okay, so there's our flip out. We will cut the top off again. And work on the other flip out. I'll be a little carefuler about cutting that. And you don't have to cut this off. Once again, you do you. It's It's just a look. All right. Then I usually fold it together so my corners kind of look the same, which you don't need to do because this is on the other side of the journal. It's not like you're going to notice, but that helps. All right, and like I say, save that. You can use that in your scraps. Some of this will go, obviously. All right, so we've got that flap. Let's put it back in our journal. It went here. So let's put this in here like that. Okay. And I'm not gonna have this go up to the top. I'm gonna kind of line it in the middle, something like that. Okay. And this one, I decided on the other, I would actually shut with a paper clip. So I don't forget, let's go ahead and put our lovely paper clip on that I always wrestle with. Okay, so we're going to put that there so it keeps it shut. And once again, like on this one, I'll swipe her for the moment. We can get another one for that. And I thought it was very important that I inked a little heavier just to make sure she stood out. Okay, so I'm going to be gluing something like that on there. And you could put some paper to stick it out. You can put some more lace on it. I tend to use more lace in document journals. To me, document journals are kind of a feminine, kind of lacy pinks and blues thing. That's just in my mind. All right, so here's my other flip out. So let's take it out. And I'm going to use 2 long pieces for this. So put this over here. For this one, this is an Italian dictionary. So, and I've got, do I have the same for each side? No, that's different too, so glad I looked. But I want the roses on the inside so you can see them, and then when you flip out, you can see the, okay. And that almost does the whole length. So once again, I'm using this side just for decoration purposes. You can put a space where you can write with lines, straw paper, or whatever you want to use to write on. All right, so this is what I'm going to do instead of trying to find the glue book and glue paper. I am going to kind of line this up. One, so I see where to put the glue. Once again, be careful. This is kind of fragile on the edge here. But I'm going to use that to make sure I don't get glue on my mat. Make sure you got plenty of glue. Plenty of glue. All right. Line it up with that fold. Flip it over. Flatten it out and then add some more glue. All right, and then we're going to put this one on. Make sure it's going the right way. So much to think about. All right. So there we have one flip out. And once again, I am going to Let's see, which way do I want to do this? I think I want to do this from the crease to there. I'm going to create an angle just to make it interesting. Okay. And then on this side, oh, we've got the same two. Good. All right. Let's ink these and glue these on. Sorry, kind of quiet. I guess I'm concentrating on my inking. All right, flip this over, put some glue down. We've got some new subscribers. I'm all excited. Thank you for following and liking and your wonderful comments. You are quite the encouragement, and I really appreciate it. Doing my best to respond to the comments, but then I realized that there are people commenting on some of the old stuff, and I'm not as quick to respond, and I will do my best to get to everyone. All right, I think that is good. That's the inside, so we will flip it over. Make sure it's not too far off. I think it needs to be folded again. And put some glue on this side. Put this down, make sure it's going the right direction. That it's lined up, excuse my head, if it's in the way. You'll have to see my grays. All right, it doesn't need to be trimmed, but I think I'm going to touch it with a little bit of ink there, because I am getting a little white from the other side. All right, and then we will cut this one at an angle. All right, you don't have to do that, it's a Terri thing. Okay, let's put, and of course I didn't mark where it goes. I think it was there. All right, so we got our flip outs done. Like I say, I'll go ahead and sew this in off camera. It'll be in its home the next time you see it. And we will start working on getting some ephemera in here. Pockets, we'll do pockets, and once again I do kind of a pattern of pockets, side tucks, top tucks. It's a little different in that, once again, I use a lot more lace in document journals, and for ephemera, you know, putting things in the pocket, I'll use a journal card and probably a piece of Italian paper. So it's a little different, but once again, you make your document journal the way you want it. Mine obviously has a certain theme. This is French Rococo, so we're going to kind of stick to the theme as much as we can. All right, I think that is all we are going to cover today. Like I say, next time we get together, we will put some pockets and side tucks and wonderful things in to stick our journal cards and tags. Keeping in mind that these are skinny, so you want to keep everything skinnier than you would in a normal journal. Once again, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the bell for notifications so you know when I post a video, and make sure you bring your friends. Invite your friends along to the party. I'd love to have them here. Until then, stay crafty.